Greetings, dear friends. Today we present our traditional battlefield map briefing, reflecting the current state of combat operations. At this moment, the most significant and dramatic changes are being recorded simultaneously across several sectors of the front. The most critical shifts are unfolding on the Julipole direction, where Russian units continue to apply relentless pressure on the defensive lines of the Ukrainian armed forces. Changes have also been recorded on the Dnipropatrovsk direction, in the area of the settlement of Mnafrad, on the Costantka sector, as well as on the Civisk direction, where the situation is evolving with particular intensity and speed. At the same time, notable changes in favor of the Ukrainian side are being observed on the Kupansk direction, where Ukrainian formations are actively pushing back Russian positions. In addition, the movement of Russian forces has been recorded in the Sunumi region, where Ukrainian defenses are gradually weakening under sustained pressure. Let us now move on to a detailed step-by-step breakdown of the situation on the battlefield map. In the Odessa region, Russian forces continue to deliver systematic strikes against the bridge near the settlement of Mayaki. Yesterday, another series of strikes was carried out, after which the bridge became completely impassable. Prior to this, Ukrainian authorities had already reopened traffic across the bridge, despite its damaged condition. Video footage that appeared online clearly showed that one lane had already been entirely destroyed at a certain section of the crossing. It is highly likely that Russian forces have now eliminated the second lane as well, effectively finishing off the structure. The Ukrainian armed forces did not wait long to respond and quickly deployed a pontoon crossing in the area. It is entirely possible that strikes against this pontoon bridge will follow in the near future, and developments in this direction are being closely monitored. While it is obvious that pontoon bridges are incapable of handling heavy logistical flows or large cargo volumes, they are still sufficient for the movement of light and standard military vehicles for the time being. We are awaiting further developments on this axis, as the situation around critical crossings in the Odessa region continues to evolve under constant pressure. On the Oriciv direction, the overall situation remains largely unchanged. The incoming reports are mostly consistent with those from the previous day. Fierce and exhausting battles continue for the central part of Stepnohersk. Some pro-Russian sources claim that Russian troops have begun clearing operations inside the city. However, this information has not received unambiguous confirmation. Other sources, on the contrary, report ongoing heavy fighting without any confirmed advance by Russian forces. The Ukrainian side states that the front line remains stable and that Ukrainian troops are firmly holding their positions within Stepnohersk itself. A key role here is played by the intense activity of Ukrainian FPV drone units, which strike Russian positions and advancing assault groups, significantly slowing down their progress and inflicting constant attrition. At the same time, Russian units are expanding their zone of control north of the settlement of Lukyanivske, advancing toward Magdalinivka. Attempts to move in the direction of Novoyakivlivka and Pavlivka have also been recorded. FPV drones are being actively employed against Ukrainian positions, with strikes launched not only from the Lukyanivske area, but also from Stepov, Mali Shcherbaki, and Shcherbaki. In addition, Russian forces continue to strike Ukrainian positions near Primorske. However, as of today, no confirmed territorial advances have been recorded in this sector. The Ukrainian side, in turn, over the past 24 hours, has carried out strikes against Russian positions in Stepnohersk itself, as well as in the areas of Lukyanivsky, Stepov, Mali Shcherbaki, and Shcherbaki. In the Oriciv area, active combat operations continue, primarily in the vicinity of the settlement of Novodanilivka. This is currently the main source of incoming information. Earlier, fighting was reported near Novoandriivka, along with Russian strikes on Ukrainian positions in Oriciv and Malotokmachka, including airstrikes in the area of Preobrazhenka. At this moment, however, there is no confirmed data indicating any advance in this sector. We now turn to the Julipole direction, where the most noticeable changes on the map are being recorded. On other sections of the front leading up to Julipole, no significant shifts had been observed for several weeks. Within Julipole itself, changes are noted in both the central and southern parts of the settlement. Earlier, video materials were received confirming the transfer of a significant portion of territory under Russian control. Today, new video evidence has emerged, indicating that Russian forces have taken full control over yet another large area. It has also been confirmed that Russian units have effectively seized the central high-rise buildings of the settlement. As a result, further clearing operations are likely to proceed more rapidly as the main fighting shifts into the private residential sector and the western outskirts, where industrial facilities are located. These areas had previously seen intensive FPV drone usage, the destruction of supply vehicles, and strikes against logistics. At present, the core clashes are concentrated in the central part of Julipole. Reports indicate that the majority of the city is already under Russian control, although confirmed data has so far been received only for specific sectors. Additionally, Russian forces continue to strike Ukrainian positions in the areas of Zaliznychne and Zeline. Video footage has also been received from Vauvchansk, where Russian positions were hit by Ukrainian FPV drones. Strikes against Ukrainian positions continue in the areas of Pryluki and Ternovate, and airstrikes have also been recorded near Vozdvizhenka. On the Dnipropatrovsk direction, the combat situation remains highly active. As before, Russian artillery is operating intensively against Ukrainian positions in the Pokrovsk area. FPV units are delivering daily strikes on Ukrainian positions near Oleksandrivka and Dnipropatrovsk. The Ukrainian side responds with strikes against Russian positions near Otradne, High and Novo-Oleksandrivka, with impacts also recorded in the Ostapivske area. Earlier, Russian forces took full control of the settlement of Andriivka, a fact confirmed by video evidence. Adjacent territory was subsequently cleared, resulting in a straightened front line between Andriivka and Otradne. This entire area is now under Russian control. Russian units continue to apply pressure and conduct assault operations toward the settlement of Bratske. It cannot be ruled out that in the coming days, confirmations of further expansion of the control zone will emerge. There were also reports that the settlement of Zarechny had come under Russian control, but as of now, no confirming materials have been received. Nevertheless, repeated strikes by Russian artillery and FPV drones against Ukrainian positions in the Ternovate area indirectly indicate sustained pressure in this direction. On the Pokrovsk direction, changes are also being observed. Reports concern the areas of Novopodhorodne, Novo-Oleksandrivka, and Serhivka. Russian forces continue to strike Ukrainian positions and conduct assault operations near Novopodhorodne. At the same time, claims by certain sources regarding an expansion of the Russian control zone have not yet been confirmed by objective materials such as video recordings, photographs, or geolocation data. Ukrainian forces continue to strike Russian positions near Molodetske, Udakne, and Kotlin. No confirmed territorial advances have been recorded in this sector so far. Following the capture and clearing of Pokrovsk, Russian forces are expanding their zone of control westward, in the area of the settlement of Hrishin. Reports indicate that defensive lines are being reinforced on the western outskirts, as Ukrainian forces have repeatedly attempted counterattacks. At present, confirming materials have been received indicating full Russian control over this territory, although it cannot be ruled out that the actual control zone may be broader. In the Mnafrad area, the encirclement continues to tighten. The majority of the city, including the entire southern and northeastern parts, is already under Russian control. Advances into the central districts from the western direction have also been recorded. It has been confirmed that several sectors in the northwestern and southwestern parts of Mnafrad have come under Russian control. According to the latest data, Russian units have advanced approximately 800 meters in this area. Many military analysts believe that Mnafrad may fall fully under Russian control in the near future, although not all changes have yet been confirmed by objective materials. From the Doorelia salient, confirming data has finally been received. Active combat and strikes are being recorded in the areas of Beletska, Novyi Donbass, Toretska, Sofiivka, and Vodian, as well as in Doorelia itself and Anovka. Russian aviation is striking temporary deployment points of Ukrainian forces, while fierce fighting continues in the Rodinska area. Russian troops control most of the settlement, although certain areas remain in the grey zone or under partial Ukrainian presence. Despite regular Ukrainian counterattacks, no significant changes in their favor have occurred here. Confirmation has also been received of full Russian control over the southern part of the settlement of Shakov. A large portion of this area had already been marked under Russian control earlier, but information here remains contradictory and may be revised as new confirmations arrive. The situation around Sofiivka remains unclear. Claims of partial Russian control have not been confirmed. On the Kostiantynivka direction, new reports continue to arrive, and changes are being reflected on the map. Russian forces are striking Ukrainian positions in the areas of Stepanivka, Berestok, and within Kostiantynivka itself. An expansion of the control zone has been recorded near Pleshchiivka. All territory marked on the map is currently under full Russian control. At the same time, clearing operations continue north of the Kleban Beek reservoir, and the control zone is expanding west of Pleshchiivka. Video material obtained yesterday from one of the key points confirms that over the past 24 hours, this entire area has come under full Russian control. Today, similar confirmations were received for the adjacent sector, which is now also fully under the control of Russian forces. It should be recalled that along the line of contact, there remains a significant number of territories classified as grey zones, not controlled by either side. However, since these areas had recently been held by Ukrainian forces, they were marked accordingly. As soon as confirmation is received of their transition under Russian control, the map will be promptly updated and all developments will be explained in detail. This is the situation as it stands at the moment. We now move on to the Civisk direction. Reports and updates continue to arrive from the Civisk sector of the front. The focal point of events remains the settlement of Pazino, where active and intense combat operations are ongoing. Based on the available data, this settlement has not yet come under stable Russian control, despite claims from certain pro-Russian sources stating that it has been fully captured. Most likely, Russian units are attempting to gain a foothold in Pazino, but the heavy and persistent activity of Ukrainian FPV drone teams is preventing them from consolidating their positions. Nevertheless, Russian forces are not abandoning their attempts to advance. As of this moment, Pazino appears to remain in the so-called grey zone, not firmly controlled by either side. As soon as confirmed information becomes available, the situation will be updated accordingly. Changes have also been recorded on the map in the area of the settlement of Sviato Pokrovsk. Today, two separate video recordings were received from different points where forward Russian positions had previously been located. These materials confirm a clear expansion of the Russian control zone in the Sviato Pokrovsk area. It is worth recalling that reports had repeatedly emerged earlier claiming that this settlement was being cleared and was effectively under Russian control, as well as that attacks had begun toward Reznikivka. For a long time, however, these claims lacked objective confirmation. Today, that confirmation has finally arrived. Moreover, exactly as previously anticipated, Russian forces have fully cleared the so-called pocket and have significantly expanded their control zone north of Sviato Pokrovsk. Earlier assessments suggested that the front line would likely be leveled between Platonivka and Siversk, running along the main supply route, with the entire pocket eventually falling under Russian control. Instead, Russian units chose a different operational approach, clearing territory north of Sviato Pokrovsk. As a result, the new front line will most likely stretch from Platonivka to Reznikivka, and this entire area is expected to be fully taken under Russian control in the near future. Pressure is also continuing against the settlements of Reznikivka and Zakotne. On the Kranoliman direction, no significant changes have been recorded. The primary news comes from the Liman area, where Russian forces are striking temporary Ukrainian deployment points using FPV drones. Active combat operations are also ongoing in the areas of Drobyshev, Stavki, Dibrova, and Ozerna. No confirmed changes to the front line have been observed here, and therefore we move on to the Kupansk direction. The situation on the Kupansk sector is developing in an extremely unfavorable manner for the Russian side. Reports indicate that Russian units are abandoning the central part of Kupansk, having failed to hold their positions. Defensive lines are now being established along the Oskil River, while the entire right bank area has effectively been lost. This clearly points to significant tactical successes achieved by Ukrainian forces. Over the past 24 hours, territory has been lost in the areas of Kondrashivka and Radkivka. It should be recalled that several months ago, Russian forces established a bridgehead in the areas of Zakidne and Dvorichna. For a long time, heavy assault operations were conducted there. Zakidne eventually came under Russian control, followed by prolonged fighting for Dvorichna and attempts to advance toward Fiholivka. Several settlements repeatedly changed hands, shifting back and forth between Russian and Ukrainian forces. After consolidating the bridgehead, Russian troops launched a breakthrough toward Kupansk. Prolonged battles followed for Kondrashivka, Radkivka and Holubivka, all of which were eventually taken under Russian control. From there, Russian forces began assault operations toward Kupiansk itself and advanced in the direction of Moskovka. Now, however, there is a very high probability that this entire bridgehead may be abandoned if Ukrainian forces fully consolidate their control over Kondrashivka, Radkivka and Holubivka and wedge themselves between Dvorichna and Kalinove. This area contains key river crossings that supply Russian units in Dvorichna. If these crossings are lost, Russian forces could find themselves completely cut off within this bridgehead. Kupiansk is gradually slipping away, while Ukrainian forces are actively reinforcing the area with fresh reserves. One cannot help but recall the words of Sun Tzu from The Art of War. If you are weak, appear strong. If you are strong, appear weak. It is possible that a deliberate tactical maneuver is being executed here, perhaps aimed at drawing Ukrainian reserves into this sector. Alternatively, we may be witnessing an intentional and coordinated withdrawal from these territories. The situation remains extremely ambiguous. We continue to closely monitor developments in this sector and will promptly update the map as new information emerges. Despite the contradictory nature of incoming reports, Ukrainian successes in this area are undeniable. We now move on to the Vauvchansk direction. In the area of Vauvchansk, fierce fighting continues for the Vauvchansky Kutori. No confirmed advances have been recorded here so far. No objective confirmation has been received from the settlement of Prilipka, despite claims from certain sources that it has fallen under Russian control. Russian units continue to apply pressure in the direction of Simonivka, where daily strikes are being carried out against Ukrainian positions. It is possible that changes in the control line may occur here in the coming days. From Vilcha, 2 separate video recordings have been received, confirming firm Russian control over this settlement. It should be recalled that heavy fighting persisted here for a long time, with Ukrainian forces launching daily counterattacks in an effort to halt Russian assault groups. These efforts ultimately failed, and Vilcha has been completely lost. The settlement is now fully under Russian control. On the Lipsy direction, the situation remains unchanged. Only positional fighting is reported. Ukrainian units struck Russian positions in the areas of Hliboka and Lukiantsy, while strikes against Ukrainian positions were recorded near Lipsy and Slobozhanska. No significant changes have been observed here for several months. We now turn to the Sumy direction. Earlier reports indicated that Russian forces had broken through Ukrainian defensive lines, largely due to the redeployment of key Ukrainian reserves to the Kupiansk direction. The front line here remains unstable, and Russian forces are achieving localized tactical successes. Video materials have been received confirming the advance of Russian units and the expansion of their control zone by approximately 1 kilometer. Fierce fighting continues for the settlement of Andreevka, while Oleksivka is already under Russian control. Strikes are being delivered against Ukrainian positions, and pressure is intensifying against Kondrativka. Advances have also been confirmed in the Yunakivka area. Earlier reports spoke of an expansion of the control zone south of this settlement. It has now been confirmed that the advance is occurring in the southwestern direction. Video evidence indicates that this entire area is now under full Russian control. It was also previously noted that Russian units are conducting demining operations in forest belts using artillery fire in the direction of Krapovshchina and Marina. These forested areas are heavily mined, significantly complicating any advance. At the same time, Ukrainian forces are making extensive use of FPV drones. Despite these challenges, Russian forces continue to expand their control zone. Should Russian units succeed in entering the forested areas near Krapovshchina and Marina, Dislodging them from these positions would be extremely difficult, if not impossible. This concludes our overview of the current battlefield situation. Thank you all for your attention. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time.